Great. Yeah, let's talk about these Cleveland Browns here. Let me pull up. I made a slide here on Canva. I did some skills there, if you can see there for the folks at home. 11 great year last year, 11-6. Joe Flacco came off the couch, and saved the season. Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year, second time he's done that. You guys had 5 different quarterbacks, although Watson and Flacco won most of those 9 of those 11 games, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge year for DeShaun Watson. He was 5-1 in those 6 games, but he really did nothing. He threw for like 186 yards a game. He's whatever. But we'll get to him. What do you think of your Browns overall? You're always pretty high on your Browns until reality comes in. Then you feel doomed. How do you think about your Cleveland Browns going into this year?
Last year was really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason that I thought that they would be able to make it to the playoffs, but they did. Coach Stefanski won Coach of the Year for the second time in 4 years. So he's really got a program going on there. Their defense is great.
Yeah.
Schwartz was the difference last year.
Incredible.
And like you said, they were winning games with P.J. Walker. They were winning games with Dorian Thompson-Robertson and Joe Flacco. Some of the best football that he's played in his career.
I like when they got him. I like they get him off the couch. Quarterbacks, they always get off the couch, but kickers, they get off the street. That's what they say,
exactly.
Like kickers hide under a bridge, but quarterbacks are under couches, eating potato chips, and then they fit right in. And there was no better fit than I couldn't believe that was Flacco's first run with the Browns. It seems like he's always been a Brown.
You would have thought.
Was there a stat where he threw more touchdowns?
Yeah.
Didn't he? Didn't he throw more touchdowns at that stadium than any Browns quarterback or something like that?
Ever. He had the most successful 4 or 5 game stint than any quarterback in the history of the franchise ever. With no preseason, knowing little about the playbook, being older than most of the coaching staff. Yeah. But anyways, I would put probably the win total at 11 games for the Browns this year.
Wow, that's very optimistic. Since Vegas has an 8.5, so you can find some alternative numbers there. 11.5, Jesus. And you're not worried about that tough division with Baltimore and Cincinnati?
No, absolutely not. I think the AFC North is the most overrated division in football.
Wow. Okay.
This year, I mean. Lamar Jackson, for some reason, I think he's hit or miss. He's hit or miss. Well, that's necessarily true. He's mostly hit. But they haven't won the Super Bowl yet. The Steelers, they have Rain Wilson as their starting quarterback.
Rain Wilson, right?
Very, very fragile. I don't like the AFC North, contrary to popular belief in the football world, but I do see the Browns getting to the playoffs, but I don't see them going far.
All right, that's great. Before we dive deep into it, let me take just a couple general questions. Looking at the Canva thing here, 8.5, of course, 5-1 to win the division, which are third swing odds. I think they have a loaded roster. But looking at that, what's with this elf the Browns have added onto the mascot? I know this is pretty recent. What is it and why? What's going on with the elf mascot?
Just trying to rebrand the team. It just going further and further back into the lore of the Cleveland Browns. And the elf, the very first official mascot that the Browns had. And so just trying to be more nostalgic and, it's a hard, there is no logo really, like there's no eagle. There's no really like hardcore mascot. There's just the colors.
Right.
So,
and it's the worst color.
You always say that.
Well, you always say, it is the color. It is the color of shit. And I'm looking at the Dog Pound. Famous fans, of course, the Dog Pound. Is that man with us still? That's something. He'd always have the bone. He looks completely unhealthy up there. The Dog Pound fans.
I think he's passed away.
I was going to say, I imagine we've lost a few of those from the 80s, from the Bob Golick days up there in the Dog Pound. Those guys who would be shirtless up there. They could not have survived. They certainly didn't survive COVID. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Big Dog's family if they're watching this, but I think he's passed away.
They do tune in occasionally, like to say, but shout out to the big dogs here. All right, let's move on to DeShaun Watson. That's the big story with the Browns. They gave him the most absurd guaranteed contract in the history of sports, coming off of 100 sexual assaults there with the massages. And it's even worse than the sexual assaults for Cleveland fans. He hasn't been good when he's played football. But there's a lot of hope in him bouncing back. I love him as comeback player of the year, 15-1, because not only is he coming back from an injury, but he's also coming back from being terrible, and he's coming back from a sex scandal. I mean, that's the trifecta. How could he? All he has to do is do something out there, and he's going to win comeback player of the year.
Well, the other elephant in the room with DeShaun Watson, we all know what the first elephant in the room is, but the second one is that he hasn't finished an NFL season in 8 years. Yeah. He gets injured, and he's going to get injured for the Browns. Like, that's going to happen.
Right.
He's not in the kind of offense that the Browns run and thrive in, doesn't necessarily lend itself to like creativity. It's kind of like, make your read and throw the ball on time. He just didn't seem to fit in with the Browns offense. Now, the Browns brought in Ken Dorsey in as the new offensive coordinator to kind of retrofit the Browns offense to go
came
more
from Buffalo.
Like came from Buffalo, had success with Cam Newton, had success with Jared Allen in Buffalo. So we'll see what happens. It's still elementally and foundationally the same offense. It's just, like I said, retrofitted. Because Watson, he just didn't seem to click. He just doesn't seem to click in Stefanski's.
Now, did you write that word elementally down there on your car there to make sure you had you have a cue card or something? I liked it. You fit it in beautifully, but
no, I read a lot.
Fantastic. Now the Browns, people are piping up in the chat room. Serial want to know if Massage Watson, is he looking crisp in camp? By the way, how's he looking?
He actually looks great in camp. He's coming off of surgery, but it wasn't. It was a bone surgery, shoulder bone.
Right.
It wasn't a ligament or a rotator cuff. So he's come back crisp. Like obviously they have him on a pitch count, but he's looked good. But yeah, he should look good at this stage.
I mean, he's got the talent to do it. He hasn't played good in a while, but he does have the talent. And then that Ravens game is that thing, but when he got hurt in, but it was his best game. There's that glimmer of hope of like, oh, that's right. He still was. I mean, he was a top 5 quarterback year after year. I mean, he does have that in there. So, and this roster is loaded. It all just comes down to Watson, if you ask me. Of course, you have Nick Chubb, who tore his ACL. Kyle Boland in the chat room says he likes him as comeback player of the year. I don't know about that because I don't know. He's not going to start. I don't know. Will he start the season playing? I think they ease him into it, right? Because he tore his. What week did he tear his ACL last year?
Week 3 against the Steelers.
Week 3. So yeah, that'd be less than a full year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, players come back quicker now, but like, I don't know. I think Chubb's year. I mean, Jerome Ford stepped up amazing. Kareem. They still have Kareem Hunt. They bring him back.
Goodbye.
He's That's
gone.
What I thought. He is gone.
Yeah.
Who else do they have who would back up Jerome Ford down? You're always pulling out good Cleveland Brown running backs and sleepers in our fantasy league, guys we've never heard of, drafting them for no reason. Who should we keep an eye out though for those Cleveland Brown young hot steppers?
Pierre White is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Wow.
Running back they got the trade from the Patriots.
Yes.
Number 20 in your playbooks and in your heart.
I like that. It's Pierre White. So lock him in there. I mean, because the running back room, I do believe that Chubb will, come along a little slowly. And then Jerome Ford, I mean, there's an opening there for carries, I believe.
November. Now, think early to mid-November for Chubb. That's when you're going to start seeing him getting lubed up.
Lubed up, no pun intended when it comes to DeShaun Watson getting lubed up. The Browns, of course, there's that famous guy with the jersey of all the number of quarterbacks that played for the Browns, from Tim Couch and K McGannon, all the names that went through it, there's 20 or 30 of them. You really haven't had a quarterback. I mean, well, you did have Baker that he left, but Bernie Kosar, I just had to put him in. I had to put him in there. Of course, Browns legend, who is now suing He's not suing the Browns, but he got fired from his job as being the Browns consultant because he was forced to place a bet on a pod from some fucking podcast studio. And then he's telling a story how they're bullying him like he's some old man. It's pretty amazing. Now, was this just a cover up that the Browns want to get him fired anyway because he used to hang around on pills and things like that? Or what's the story? What's going on there with Bernie Kosar?
It just doesn't add up, man. They do Bernie so dirty. Like maybe there's something behind the scenes that we don't know about, but like, I mean, Cleveland fans love him. We feel that there should be a statue of him everywhere. We feel that he should be entrenched with the franchise, but no, he's been sort of excommunicated from the franchise for putting out a charity bet. So somehow they like finagled that, which I don't know. I feel like they set him up so they could legally like lock him out of the building. But yeah. Very, very sad what's going on with Bernie. He was just given a pretty hard diagnosis, I think Parkinson's. But we all wish the best for Bernie, and we're all pulling.
But not the Browns. Apparently, they fired him. I mean, can't we just have him lingering around, walking around, or whatever like that? I mean, good God, seems a bit much. Anyway,
I think maybe when he's there, like maybe he kind of like wears out his welcome, like he gets in everybody's ear. He's a very intelligent guy, so I think he's leaning into the quarterback's ear. He's leaning into the coaches. It's like, Bernie, okay, we got it. Just go stand there. And I don't necessarily thought that he did that. At one point, he was kind of maybe wanting to like pseudo coach in a way. And he was in the booth calling preseason games for the Browns, but
yeah. How did that sound? I imagine he's a little jarbled, that mouth there of Bernie.
Yeah.
When you mix scotch and painkillers, that can lock that jaw up there for those NFL veterans. But you said, God bless Bernie anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely a little Leon Spanks there with Bernie for sure.
All right, let's dive into the schedule here, McGannon. Cleveland Browns, you threw 11 wins. That's a gaudy number. You guys have a tough schedule coming up. Like I said, you do have a loaded roster, though. You brought in Devin Bush and Jordan Hicks on defense. Out is Tamako. Of course, Njoku, I know he's your favorite, a tight end. He's a matchup. He's a matchup nightmare. So if Watson can play, so look at his schedule here. Early on, not too bad. Great opener versus the Cowboys. What do you think there?
Yeah, before I get into that, CJ, as you know, we are smack dab in the middle of engagement season. And if you're anything like me, you don't know the first thing about buying a diamond ring. Do me a favor, head on down to Bookman and Sons Fine Jewelry, talk to my guy, Josh. It's a no haggle atmosphere, no pressure. You walk in. He's not going to ask you for your email address. He's not going to ask you for your phone number. You ever go into a jewelry store and the first thing they ask you for is your email address?
The worst.
No thanks. Goodbye. Yeah. Not at Bookman and Son. So head on down to 8803 Brecksville Road in sunny Brecksville, Ohio. Tell them Brian sent you. Yeah. No, I really like the Browns' chances against the Cowboys. The Browns haven't won a season opener, and I want to say 66 years. Maybe?
66 years has it been? That's a long time. Yeah, that is a long time.
Mark it down right now. Mark it
since
down
Ernie Shavers,
right now.
huh?
Since Ernie Shavers, but I'm saying it here right now. It's going to be 69 again because the Browns are going to lose to the Cowboys in week 1.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Lose to the Cowboys, then you go to Jacksonville. Not easy to play in South Florida in the heat, although I think that's North Florida, Jacksonville. But the point is, you go down there in that humidity in September, not easy. So you could possibility of starting 0-2, that's for sure. But then you have the Giants and Raiders, no problem. Washington, Philly's a nice game. But then after that, once Philly starts, this division, I know you said you're not impressed by this division. I am. Bengals, Ravens. I mean, Steelers will definitely have a down year with Russell Wilson, but schedule gets tough in that back end. That's why 11 wins seems ambitious, but you like them, huh?
I think the Browns are going to sweep the AFC North this year.
Well, you can get a hefty price on that. That's for sure if you do that.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson starting off the season with mono or something happened. He was a few weeks or a few days late to camp this year. Right. I think that's really I really think that's going to come back to bite him. So It was between the Browns and the Ravens this year, but I think the Browns are going to take the AFC North, sweep the division this year.
Well, I like it. I tell you what, that 5-1, that's be a nice little. That's a nice little price. I do think there is value of them being the third place team in that division, just because Baltimore does have some question marks. Cincinnati, who knows? What do you think of? You're the right guy to ask about this. An Ohio guy in general. What do you think about Joey Burrow's haircut coming in there looking with a Slim Shady? He said he was just bored, and it's kind of like I know there's a certain class of Ohio whites that come in there with that rap style.
Yeah, it's like he's great, and was great pretty fast, like almost immediately. But he's a schmo from the middle of Ohio, right? So like he's not used to being like famous. So you see him like really trying to grow into his fame in like real time, and he just doesn't know how to wear it well.
Right.
It seems awkward. It seems really, really awkward and not natural. Just being Joe Burrow. You know what I mean?
Just be Joe Burrow. And you know what? And I just wanted you just to be
McGregor. Not,
right.
Not you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. That's why I wanted you to just be Brian McGannon. No character needed, but it dropped out. Anything you want to tell C. Generous? Thank you for joining us. Anything you want to tell C. Generous how to reach you? I know you like usually off the grid, and that's why I didn't even use your real picture on my thumbnail. But appreciate you joining us to talk everything Cleveland. I hope Cleveland has a great season. Anything you want to tell us where they can find you or anything like that?
No.
Perfect. All right, we'll go get your engagement rings down there, Joe's and Sons, and thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right.